Please stay tuned for this important commercial message.
Your toilet is germ-ridden with mineral buildup. Clorox Toilet Bowl Cleaner with bleach is no match against limescale. But Lysol Power Toilet Bowl Cleaner has 10 times more cleaning power against limescale. So switch to Lysol. What it takes to protect.
Hey guys, so did you ever think that we'd be starting off a math lesson with a toilet bowl cleaner commercial? Probably not. But the reason for that is we've been working with place value a lot. We've done a lot of different things using place value to help us, whether that's pairing numbers or rounding numbers or understanding how place value relates from one position to the next and things like that. But in the real world, you'll see things like this, like 10 times more cleaning power, or 1,000 times more absorbent, or 10,000 more cavity-causing sugars. Or hopefully you're not seeing that a lot, but you get the point, right? We see this all the time. So how can we actually find 10 times more, or 100 times more, or 1,000 times more than a number? That's something that we're actually going to be practicing really briefly today, and you guys should get the hang of it pretty quick. But before we dive in and start doing that, you guys are going to need a couple things. Again, you're going to need that blank place value chart. That's going to be very helpful today. And you're going to need something to write with, something to draw with, whether you're going to do it in your dry erase board or digitally or something like that, just so you can kind of follow along with me as we work through some examples and some problems together. So what I'm going to go ahead and do here is I'm going to draw my own place value chart here so we can kind of follow along with each other. And I think today this will be enough for us to practice. So let's go ahead and label this. If you would, label yours, and then we'll come back and check and make sure that we label them the same way. All right, so I got my place value chart all labeled up and ready to go. Starting over here with my ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s. Okay, so we're good to go on that. So the first thing that I'm going to do, and what I would like you guys to do too, is I'm going to draw 2,000 place value discs here. So remember, each one of these is worth 1,000. Okay, so what is the value of this number so far? What do I have so far? Right, I have 2,000. So what would 1,000 more than this be? Okay, if I just threw in one more 1,000, what would my new value be? 3,000, exactly. All right, we're starting off small here. This makes sense so far, right? So 1,000 more than 2,000 would be 3,000. All right, so I'm going to come up here. I'm going to write a number. 3,000. And I'm not going to read the rest of it because this is what I want you guys to do. First thing I want you to do is model this number in your place value chart. Okay, go ahead and draw it out. Okay, so there's the number here. I'll circle it so we know what we're looking at. Draw this number and model it in your place value chart. Then I would like for you to read it aloud to somebody, either your learning guide or your dog or your cat, little brother, little sister, whoever. Read it out loud. And I'd also like you to write it in expanded form. Expanded form. Do you remember what that is? Okay, hopefully you do. Write it in expanded form. So you got three things we're going to do. First, you're going to model it on your place value chart. Then you're going to read it out loud to somebody. Then you're going to write it in expanded form. So go ahead and try that out and then come back here and we'll check it together. Awesome. Okay, so if I'm reading this number, I'm going to read it as 3,112. Okay, 3,112. So that's my number. If I was going to model it here, I would have my 3,000s, which I already have drawn. I would have 100, I would have 110, and I would have 2 ones. Perfect, so that's how I could model it or represent it on this place value chart. If I was going to write it in expanded form, I would write it as 3,000, right? And this is where this place value chart can really help me out. I would have 3,000 plus 100 plus 110 plus my 2 ones, my values here, 3,000, 100, 10, and 2. Okay, so those are my 3 different forms there. Easy enough. That was just kind of a review, kind of a practice there on those skills. If I added in one more 1,000 right here, what would 1,000 more than this number be? If right now I have 3,112, what would 1,000 more be? Exactly, it would be 4,112, right? Nothing else changed. I just added in one more 1,000, so that guy would increase by 1. What would 1,000 less than 3,112 be? So if I go up 1, it's going to go to 4,112. What if I had 1,000 less? What would that be? Well, 1,000 less would be 2,112. Because if I took out one of these thousands, now I only have 2,112. Okay? Easy enough. You guys with me so far? Awesome. Perfect. All right, so let's go back to this number. Okay, so I have 4,112. Okay, we had added in that one more thousand a little bit ago. Let me throw this curveball at you. What if I did this? And I added in 110,000. What would our number be now? Well, if we think of this in expanded form now, I would have 10,000 plus 4,000 plus 100 plus 10 plus 2, which would give me 14,112. So that kind of base of 4,112 stayed the same. I just had to add a 10,000 in front of it. Okay, easy enough. So I increased it by 10,000. Still with me? Cool. All right, so sticking with this number here of 14,112, what would be 1,000 less than that? So on your paper or whatever you're working with now, take away 1,000. What would be 1,000 less than 14,112? If I took away one of these thousands, I would be left with still my 10,000. This would now be 3,112. So not a lot changed, just my thousands place changed. I decreased it by 1, and there we go. That's our new number. If I started back at this 14,000 again and I increased it by 1,000, what would that new number be? Well, if I drew one more 1,000 in here, that new number would now still be 10,000, 110,000. Now I have 5,112. So again, only my thousands place changed. I increased that by 1. So you can see how whatever I'm increasing or decreasing by, that's the place value that changes. So if I'm increasing by 1,000, that's the place value that changes. If I'm increasing by 10,000, that's going to be the one that changes. You can kind of see how that's coming together and how that works. Well, just to change things up a little bit, keep you guys on your toes, because that's what I like to do, because I'm mean like that. We just said about how if we increased by 1,000, that's the place value that would change. Or if we increased by 10,000, that's the place value that would change. But that's not always the case. So let's look at an example where that might not be the case. I'm going to give you a number. So let's see, it would be, looks familiar, right? Still got that 112 on the end, but this time we have, almost told you. Okay, what I want you guys to do first is I want you to read the number out loud to somebody in your house. Then I want you to represent the number on your place value chart. You can draw in those discs or dots or whatever you want to do. And you can even write the number in expanded form. So do those 3 things, read it out loud, write it in your place value chart, and then write it in expanded form. And then we'll come back together and we'll see what we got. All right, awesome. So this number is 19,112, right? It starts in the thousands period, and I have 19,112. So I'm going to go ahead and draw mine in real quick. I'm going to have 110,000, right? 110,000. I'm going to have 9 thousands. Perfect. I'm going to have 100, 110, and 2 ones. Okay, so this is how I would represent the number visually on my place value chart. So what I want you guys to do is I want you to find 1,000 more than this number and 1,000 less than this number. So go ahead and take a second now. Think about what would be 1,000 more, what would be 1,000 less. I want you to write your answers down, write them in, and then we'll come back and discuss it. All right, heard some good discussion out there, so you guys doing some good things. So I'm going to start with my 1,000 less. So if I had 1,000 less, I'm just going to erase this 1,000 here. How would that change my number? Well, it would change my thousands place from a 9 to an 8, because now I only have 8 of those. So this would change to still have my 10,000. Now I only have 8,112. Okay, so that thousands place just decreased by 1,000. And my new number is 18,112. But what about if I went 1,000 more? If I have my 9,000s and I did 1,000 more, well, then I would just have 10,000s, right? So I would have my 110,000, and then I would have my 10,000s, and then I would have my 112, right? Easy enough, right? No? Well, why not? What's wrong with that? Okay, because now this changes my whole number to 110,000. That's not right. That's not what we're getting at. I'm not seeing that in my place value chart. What I have to think about is the 9,000s that I had. When I added in that extra 1,000, it actually went up to 10,000s, which I can regroup into 10,000, right? Which would mean I would add a 10,000 here, all right? And these guys would all go away because I regrouped them and moved them over. My 10,000s here, I regrouped into one 10,000. So now, looking at my 1,000 more, it's actually going to be two 10,000s. I don't have any thousands anymore because I regrouped them all and moved them over. And everything else is going to be the same. So hopefully you guys saw that and you got that as your answer. It's a tricky one. That's the only time they're really going to change, is if you're floating around that 9 mark, whether it's 900 or 9,000 or 90 or whatever it is, and you're trying to do 1,000 more. That's going to change some things up a little bit. But otherwise, it should stay within that place value and only change in that place value. But in this case, it changed not only this place value, but it also changed the one in front of it, right? All right, just for the sake of it, because I love talking about math just as much as you love hearing me talk about math, let's do one more example real quick. I'm going to write a number up here. Go ahead and model it in your place value chart and read it out loud, and maybe even do expanded form too while we're at it. Why not? Go ahead and do that real quick, and then we'll come back and discuss. Awesome. Okay, so this number is 23,000. Okay, and I would write it as an expanded form as 20,000 plus 3,000. Awesome. And I could represent it here as two 10,000s and 3,000s. With me, right? Hopefully your chart looks something like mine. Double check and make sure it is. And if it doesn't, talk with the learning guide or reach out to me and we could see what the problem might be. So what would 10,000 more than this number be? 10,000 more than this number. What would that work out to be? Draw it on your place value chart and then let's review. All right, so if I had one more 10,000, this would now be 30,000 plus 3,000, which would give me 33,000. Cool. So the number I'm working with now is 33,000. All right, so here comes your curveball. Are you ready? What am I representing here? All right, we kind of changed things up a little bit. We went a little further than we have in a while. I have 100,000 plus 30,000 plus 4,000. So with my place value chart that I have right here, could I represent that number? No, not yet, because I don't have enough place value. So I actually got to draw in one more line over here, and this is going to be my, I'm just going to abbreviate it, my 100,000s. Okay, so I would have 100,000. I would have 3 10,000s, because that would give me 30,000. And I would have 4 thousands, okay? So we're starting to see this come together. So I just added 100,000 to that number. Ooh, seems big, right? But all I had to do was add one more disk, and then I could read it, and it still is the same. Just the only thing that changed is my 100,000 place value. And actually this time writing it in expanded form helped me to kind of see it a little bit easier. So right now I have the number 134,000. What if I was going to add 100,000 to this? What would it change my number to? Well, if I added another 100,000, that would give me, cross this guy out, I would now have 200,034. Likewise, if I wanted to take 100,000 away, that would bring me down to 100,034. And you can see that this can keep going on and on and on, no matter what place value we're in. We can do 1,000,000 times more or 1,000,000 times less. We can do 100 more or 100 less. And the pattern's going to be the same. The one that you have to watch out for is the 9. When we get to a 9, if we're going to do 1,000 more, that's going to change the next place value. But other than that, everything else is going to change within that place value if you're going up 1,000 more or 1,000 less. So the next time you hear an ad saying 10 times more cleaning power or 1,000 times brighter smiles or grow 10,000 times stronger or something like that, you'll be able to visualize and see exactly what that means. Most of the time you probably shouldn't fall for it because they're just trying to get you to buy their product, but you kind of get the idea and see a little of a real world application on where you might see that. So I hope you guys enjoyed. this video. Please let me know if you have any questions, comments, or concerns. Reach out to me if you want to practice this a little bit more. And as always, I appreciate you guys for watching. Thanks.